Hi everyone, welcome to um, Jack Literary Corner. I was about to say another person's channel name, which is not my channel. It's just someone that I recently was thinking about. So I thought I would share with you guys because I am having trouble with ideas for videos, trying to come up with something good and interesting that won't bore people and that I'm interested in. And so far, the only thing I've come up with, the only type of videos I can come up with are videos where I share the books I'm currently reading or the books. Although I have had ideas here and there that I thought about doing, that maybe I'll do it, maybe I'll try it. I do not know, though, yet. Okay, it will probably take some practice. So I thought I would share with you, well, first, I tried to do the BookTube-a-thon. That was from at the end of July into the first week of August, and that did not happen. I tried to do it, but then that was around the time that was right after SuperCon with my friend Terry, and so if I didn't do any reading out, which was the plan, that even though that wasn't BookTube-a-thon time, I was going to get started on BookTube-a-thon while I was there, and of course, it's kind of hard to read when people are around, when your friends are visiting, and you're excited about this Comic-Con type convention. Just there's too many distractions. And then when I got back, I just didn't feel like reading. Out the first few days, and then we had to take my friend back, so I was really sad about that because I only see her once a year. In person anyway, because I talk to her on Facebook and we call each other on the phone all the time, or more like she calls me all the time, and I'm so focused on myself, and I don't call her as much as she calls me, which I really should get into the habit of. Well, anyway, that's a whole other story. So, and then while I was at SuperCon, I got Are You Afraid of the Dark, the TV series. So I wanted to, and that was part of my childhood, a series from my childhood, and I've been really wanting to. I have been looking for that for a long time, and I just was not having any luck finding it. And finding it on streaming networks. You would have to buy it or something, or download it, and I was not, yes, I really want to watch it, I really love it, but then the thing is, because my mom kind of controls my parents kind of control the internet, and I have to make sure it's okay with them, so I couldn't just download or buy TV series. So I kept looking for it at the store, and finally I saw it at a little store at SuperCon. So I finally bought it. It was a bit pricey, but it was the whole series, although I'm not certain if it has all of the last two seasons, which is not the worst thing in the world because I wasn't a huge fan of the last two seasons of the series, but then at the same time it's like I spent the money. I spent a lot of money on this and doesn't even have the whole thing, but I'm not sure though. I was a little thrown off a bit, so I'll have to check it out again. And of course, I'm naturally rewatching it all over again from the beginning because each episode is like 20 to 30 seconds, so it's like you could easily go through the whole series. Okay, so anyway, enough of that. So I decided, since BookTube-a-thon did not happen, I decided to do this book bingo, which was something that my friend on not on BookTube, but a friend via Facebook in a book group in Facebook that I'm in, not the one I run, but another book group I'm in. She created a bingo. So even if I don't do the whole bingo thing, try to get bingo, I'm gonna at least use this as a TBR thing, standing for a TBR. Now some of these I don't have anything written down, but I did write down books for each little square, and I've only completed one. The first square was a book with 500 plus pages, and I was already reading Mistborn, which has 500 plus pages. So I decided to end up, using that one, and I was so close to finishing anyway, so I use that one as my first square. So I only have one square right now colored in. I went ahead and colored it to show I completed it. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go through these like, that, and then that, and so on and so forth, but I'm not going to, I don't know if I'll ever read it in that order or not, but here goes. Okay, so the first book, the first square, or the second square, because I've already created the 500 plus square, is Thriller. So I chose for Thriller Night Film by Marisha Pessl, because I did start it, as you can see, but I have not gotten back into it. I mean, I really probably should read it like how I'm presenting it to you guys. I should read my books that way, but sometimes, like most people, I am a mood reader. But but from what I know about this book, this journalist is investigating this famous filmmaker who makes very dark films, and his daughter supposedly committed suicide, and he's trying to figure out if her father, the filmmaker, was involved in that, and that maybe the girl didn't actually commit suicide. And that's all I know. Like I said, I have not read. I did start it, but I've not read very much. And this is one. What's good about this one is, yes, it still has the traditional book format, but it also has a little bit of mixed media with journal articles and internet articles, and has like documents and stuff. And I definitely have been reading more books, but I want to get into more books that are like that as well. So this is my Thriller. Okay, so next is a book you started but never finished, and that is the book I chose for that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. Just like Six of Crows, this book clearly is taking me a little while. Like, I started it because it was like, okay, it's about time I start this book. But then it's like, I decided to stop for a little bit and read other books because I have a problem. Every time I buy a new book, which I do a lot, I was eager to read that book, but I try not to read the book I just bought right away. So I did start this one, and it's kind of hard to talk about it because, unless you've read the first book, and I don't know who out of the people that are subscribed to me, who out of them have watched, I keep wanting to say watch, who have read Six of Crows, so I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. But Six of Crows, I'll just go ahead and tell you what Six of Crows is about. It's about a group of thieves. So it's kind of like Mistborn in that sense. They work together because they have been sent on a mission led by Kaz Brekker, who he walks with a cane. He's not good with people. He has been hired to infiltrate a prison to break out a prisoner who is a scientist who has created this special drug that is meant for the Grisha, who are the people who have magic in this world, in the world of the Grisha universe. And I guess it's called Revka. I think that's what it's called. I think that would be the country, Revka. It's kind of Russian-inspired setting. And, but this is a very difficult prison to get into. It's an ice prison, and it's heavily guarded. And so Kaz hires a bunch of criminals and con men, or people that at least have done things that they're not necessarily evil people, but they've gotten in trouble with the law quite a bit. So it's about them going on this mission, and the first part of Six of Crows most is like them planning out the mission, and then the second part is them infiltrating the prison. And there is a bit of romance, but this is has even less romance than the Raven Cycle. It's full of great, interesting gray area characters. It's so fun. It's kind of like, people also compare it it's kind of like the Ocean's movies in a way, with except for, it's a fantasy story, and some of the characters have like special powers, not just they're really smart and clever, but they actually have powers. And like I said, this is the second book. It's a duology, and I actually prefer this over the original trilogy. I did enjoy the original trilogy, but like a lot of people, because there are a lot of people who do prefer Six of Crows. Although I recommend reading the original trilogy first. This is one of the times where I do agree that you need to read something first before you go to Six of Crows. Because it's like, it will explain the whole Grisha power system, the magic system. And I believe there are characters that are referenced in this particular book that are from the original trilogy. So I need to finish this one. Like, they've solved the original cliffhanger that Six of Crows ended with. They've kind of solved that problem, but now they have a whole new set of problems in this book. And that's all I'm going to tell you, and I need to read this one. That's why I feel like I definitely need to read these in order, because there's a lot of books that I've neglected that I need to get back into. Let's see. So the next category is book club read. So basically they're referring to the book group on Facebook. So I can't remember. One of the books was Renegades. And then I'm trying to figure out what the next book is in the book club. Crap. Why'd that go away? Where is it? Okay, oh, here. Okay, so, let's see. Oh, wait, it's up here. A Discovery Witches. So the two books are Renegades and A Discovery Witches. Those are the book club reads. I don't know about Discovery Witches because I'm kind of getting it out. I'm kind of trying to move on from. I still will read it, but not that book. But I will still read this genre, the paranormal genre. But I'm kind of moving on from that and want to read like actual fantasy, not just urban fantasy or paranormal fantasy where it takes place in the real world and you have the traditional witches, vampires, werewolves, all that. That's what this book is, though. From what I know about it, like a witch and a vampire fall in love, I believe. So it's kind of like True Blood, from what I hear. True Blood, well, that's not what the actual books are called. The actual book series is the Sookie Stackhouse series. But it's, I think it's kind of compared to that. And then Renegades is more sci-fi, and it's the next book by Marissa Meyer. And I know I love her books. And I'm getting more into sci-fi anyway. She's the one who wrote the Lunar Chronicles and Heartless. So now she was dipping her toes into sci-fi. So if I read a book club pick, then it will probably be Renegades. But I have to buy it first. So I don't know if I'll get to it or not. I don't know if I'll ever buy it from. Because the bookstore that I can go to without having to get a ride is the used bookstore, and it probably will never have Renegades, or at least not for a while, although the library could have it. I could go to the library. I do need to get back into using that library. Okay, so I don't know which one of those books I'll read. And then the next book is a sequel. And the book I chose for the sequel read is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the sequel to Caraval, which I absolutely loved. And yes, I am probably one of the few people who love Scarlet as a character. I know a lot of people couldn't stand her, and they thought she was a hypocrite. And Caraval was from her point of view, but this one is from Donatella's point of view, Tella, who is her sister, who is the more, she's the more adventurous one, the more romantic one, she's not as cautious as her sister. And there is a bit of a cliffhanger in Caraval. So this is kind of what happens after that cliffhanger, what happens with the sisters. But mostly focusing on tell a story. And I cannot wait to read this, but I didn't want to get to it right away because I try not to get to books that I've just read that I've just bought right away. Okay. Alright, I've got to pee, but I'm trying to get through these without going pee, because then I'll have to start over, and I don't want to do that. So the next one is, we're in the next row, and it's predicted 5-star read. Now, I don't determine if I think a book is a 5-star read. I mean, I never even made videos about that. Books that I think will be 5-star reads. So I kind of just took a guess in the moment, and this was actually a book that I was wanting to read, but I didn't. Again, I don't like reading books that I just bought, so I have been kind of procrastinating it, because I just want to savor the fact that I bought the book and now it's on my shelf. This was one I've been wanting to get for a long time, but it had not been at My Books A Million, and I'm a little wary of ordering books from them because I'm worried my mom will give me a hard time about that, because I'm a book buying addict. I have a problem. And I recently just asked her to buy 2 books for me, although she said I think she implied she was only going to get one of the books. So I went ahead and just picked If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I finally got, unfortunately I kind of wanted the hardcover edition because it's really cool because it has kind of a skull on the cover, like from Hamlet. But this is good too. This cover is pretty too. It's kind of plain, but, well, it's not plain. It has these little flower type things on it. And I know this is reference to Shakespeare or something, maybe you would throw flowers, you would give flowers to people who did, who you were, did well in their performance, you loved. But this is about, a murder amongst a group of Shakespeare actors, and it's from the perspective of someone who was convicted of the murder, but this person might have not actually done the murder. They were framed. So they are telling the story of what really happened. And I do, the whole idea of Shakespeare was very appealing to me, that these are Shakespeare actors, even though it's hard for me to read Shakespeare. And it's theater. It's the theater. And I love theater. I did theater for the longest time. I stopped when I got to college, but I did in my last semester of college. I did take a theater class. So this seems to be a fun little book. And it kind of reminds me of The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So that's the predicted 5 stars. So who knows? Maybe, it probably will be a 5-star read for me. Because I'm easy when it comes to books. Okay, so the next one is New to You author. So I have finally got around to reading Robin Hobb's books. So, I chose her book, The Assassin's Apprentice. It's the first book in the Firesteiner trilogy. And I've already started it. Our main character, Fitz, has been taken in by the king. He is the bastard son of one of the princes, and he is currently being trained by the king's assassin. Who has sent him on all these who kind of has requested him to do a lot of odd jobs that will help prepare him to be a good assassin. And then the king's assassin has asked him to steal something from the king, something like a hairbrush or something. But Fitz, who's a little boy at the time, is not sure if he wants to do this because he feels like it's disloyal to the king. So the assassin is you are not worthy to be an assassin. The fact that you can't even steal some little thing from the king because you're worried it's disloyal, and it's not. And the assassin basically says, I'm not coming to teach you anymore, and that really affects Fitz. He is traumatized by this, he feels guilty, it's really hurting him, and that's as far as I've gotten so far. Oh, and, the assassin has felt really horrible about this, and is apologizing to Fitz and everything, and then Fitz, what I love is that Fitz, by the end of the chapter, basically stole a knife in front of the king. Like when the king called, summoned him, and explained to him that it was his idea, but his assassin Shay didn't want, was not too keen on the idea. But he ends up defying him and is like, you know what, screw you, and steals one of the king's knife and presents it to Shade. It's just, that's how it ends, basically, and I love that moment. It's like, psst. So I am reading this one as well. I've been wanting to read this for a while. And then, okay, so the next one is A Flower on the Cover. And I chose, this is a book that I already started that I need to finish. And this is a book that also Terry, if you watched my video where my best friend picks my TBR, Terry chose this one, which is one, obviously, again, another one that I've started. I've read quite a lot. I mean, I'm past the middle of the book. And, I just since taken a break from it. It's one of those books that it's not always exciting. I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely a soap opera type book. And yes, it is a bit of a romance. It's basically about this family in their plantation that has been cursed, and that, metaphorically speaking, like, whoever is given run of the plantation will become so obsessed with it they will neglect everybody else. And the character we are in the first part of the book is Mary Tolvier, who becomes obsessed with running the land. Unfortunately, this creates a rift between her mom and her brother, or between her mom and her brother. Like, her mom feels like their father should have left the plantation to her so she could eventually sell it for money. But Mary really cares about the plantation and really respects it, and her father knows it. So he gives it to her in his will, so it affects their relationship, and it also affects the relationship between her and the guy, her friend of hers, Percy Warwick, who wants to marry her. He owns one of the other plantations. And he wants her to be completely devoted to him, and she's like, no, my plantation comes first. And he tries to persuade her to choose him over the plantation, but he can't do it, so he ends up trying to compromise with her, but that doesn't work either. That, like, totally falls apart. The part I'm currently reading is from Percy's point of view, and what happens. And then later, the last part of the book will be about her granddaughter, who's in danger of becoming like her when it comes to the plantation. Okay, so the next book, you know what? I'm going to have to stop here because I really have to go to the bathroom. So I will finish this in another video. So if you guys liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you are currently enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. And this will be continued in another video. Alright, bye.